Chapter 270. Standoff. Outside the immortal mansion, deep under the sea. When true person Lu Feng withdrew from the formation, when Sovereign was seething with anger. He could only watch helplessly as the mansion's defensive formation closed, and it seemed that the immortal mansion was about to activate and disappear. Lu Feng. When Sovereign gritted his teeth. Lu Feng's action was a clear breach of their agreement. In truth, when Sovereign had anticipated such a scenario, even warning Lin Fei to leave the immortal mansion beforehand. Yet, he still fell into Lu Feng's trap. This highlighted the gap between the three major powers and the Tai Dao Palace. The Tai Dao Palace, in its dominant position, acted unilaterally, fearing no consequences. Even if Lu Feng suddenly withdrew, what could Wind Sovereign do? However, Wind Sovereign, Red Crane True Person, and Golden Light True Person couldn't act with such impunity, fearing that Lu Feng, representing Tai Dao Palace, would use any indiscretions as an excuse against them. The three major powers could just barely hold on, further showcasing the dominance of Tai Dao Palace. Lin Fei dared to kill so many foundation establishment cultivators from my Tai Dao Palace, let him be forever trapped inside the immortal mansion, said Lu Feng, his gaze icy. But even if he killed Lin Fei, it wouldn't quench his anger. He even glanced at Wind Sovereign, but didn't act. Nearby were the vigilant eyes of both Red Crane True Person and Golden Light True Person. Lu Feng had previously tried to sow discord among them, hoping to weaken them and kill Wind Sovereign. Perhaps even using this rift as a wedge to further divide the three major powers. Unfortunately, he underestimated the unity of the three powers and the resolve of both Red Crane True Person and Golden Light True Person. Even Golden Light True Person, who had conflicts with Wind Sovereign, stood resolutely by his side now. True Person Lu Feng wasn't confident in taking on three powerful figures at the Golden Core and Martial Sovereign levels. Thus, he refrained. Although many Foundation establishment cultivators had died, this expedition to the Immortal Mansion had yielded numerous treasures. At the very least, they managed to extract some treasures. Perhaps this was the only gain for the Tai Dao Palace from this journey. Let's go, declared True Person Lu Feng, preparing to leave with the remaining 5 Foundation establishment True Persons. When Sovereign's face grew cold. Lu Feng, he bellowed, I give you one last chance. Join us, the three of us, to once again activate the Immortal Mansion's grand formation. If you do, all past grievances will be forgotten. However, if you refuse, perhaps you might escape, but the 5 Foundation establishment cultivators of your Tai Dao Palace will not. When Sovereign's eyes bore into Lu Feng with an icy intensity. He struggled to swallow his rage. Who was Lin Fei? He was a Dao Seeker of the Path, the brightest talent of the ancient origin sect in centuries. He held the potential to shatter the chains of the life wheel and ascend to the realm of Martial Sovereign. And now, he was gone, lost forever within the Immortal Mansion, all because of Lu Feng. When Sovereign's rage was palpable. Perhaps he couldn't kill Lu Feng, but the 5 Foundation establishment cultivators by his side. For Wind Sovereign, snuffing out their lives would be as easy as crushing 5 mosquitoes. Lu Feng would be powerless to protect them. Wind Sovereign, Lu Feng said icily, are you really considering laying a hand on the disciples of my Tai Dao Palace? Do you truly wish to incite a war between Tai Dao Palace and your ancient origin sect? Wind Sovereign remained silent, simply staring coldly at Lu Feng. Red Crane True Person, Golden Light True Person, Lu Feng continued, directing his gaze to the other 2 Golden Core True Persons. Do you share his sentiments? The Red Crane True Person and Golden Light True Person exchanged a glance. They were well aware of Wind Sovereign's resolve. Although the 3 major powers moved in harmony, they were not truly united. They could stand united against Lu Feng, but in the Immortal Mansion, only Lin Fei was lost. The sects hadn't lost anyone within it. Thus, when Sovereign's aggressive stance meant he was leaving no room for compromise with the Tai Dao Palace. Finally, the Red Crane True Person spoke, a frown marring his features. When sovereign, I suggest you immediately seek reinforcements from the ancient origin sect. We three can hold the fort for a while and try to prevent the immortal mansion from escaping. This might offer us a glimmer of hope. Otherwise, even if you annihilate the Foundation establishment cultivators of Tai Dao Palace, what purpose will it serve? The words of the Red Crane true person were laden with reason. Yet, if they waited for the martial sovereign to arrive, the immortal mansion would have long since vanished. How could the three of them possibly contain the immortal mansion, empowered by a nascent soul great bane? Lu Fen, when sovereign voiced darkly, if you do not stay to activate the immortal mansion's grand formation, the 5 Foundation establishment cultivators of Tai Dao Palace are doomed. Mark my words. When sovereign remained unyielding. As a formidable martial sovereign, his will was steadfast. Would mere words be enough to sway him? If someone as prodigious as Lin Fei, the peak talent, couldn't be protected by the ancient origin sect, then how could they consider themselves a grand martial sect? Even if Lin Fei could not be saved, when sovereign was resolved that Lu Fen and the Tai Dao Palace would pay the price. With that, when sovereign took a step forward, a resounding boom echoed. The entire ocean floor seemed to turn on its head as if heaven and earth were reversing. An overwhelming aura enveloped the seabed. Even true person Lu Fen was staggeringly affected. Behind When Sovereign, a faint luminescent ring began to emerge the life wheel. This was the core of a martial sovereign. Once a martial sovereign invoked it, there would be no holding back, leaving no room for fortuity. Witnessing this, the faces of Red Crane true person, Golden Light true person, and even Lu Fen slightly changed in color. As for the 5 Foundation establishment cultivators beside Lu Fen, their faces turned ashen. Just the sheer aura exuded by When Sovereign was unbearable for them. If When Sovereign truly acted, their fates would undoubtedly be sealed. Elder Lu, save us. The 5 Foundation establishment cultivators were truly frightened. Inside the immortal mansion, they encountered a ruthless person like Lin Fei who single-handedly forced more than 20 of their peak Foundation establishment cultivators to flee in disgrace. After leaving the immortal mansion, they believed that with true person Lu Feng by their side, they would be safe. However, they hadn't anticipated encountering another fearsome figure in When Sovereign, a martial sovereign of terrifying might. If it came to a real confrontation, Lu Fen might remain unscathed, but judging by When Sovereign's demeanor, he seemed determined to annihilate them, whatever the cost. Lu Fen hadn't imagined that When Sovereign would be so unyieldingly fierce, seemingly willing to pay any price. Consequently, true person Lu Fen laughed in fury. A hint of golden core energy emanated from him, and a flicker of light flashed from within him. A great seal appeared in front of him, the Great Mountain Seal. This was the Golden Core Stage Great Mountain Seal. And having been refined by Lu Fen himself over countless periods, its power, when deployed by him a Golden Core true person, was naturally incomparable. I'd like to see how When Sovereign plans to kill our Tai Dao Palace's Foundation establishment true persons. The tension was palpable, with both sides unwilling to back down, as if on the brink of a battle. Red Crane true person and Golden Light true person were at a loss for what to do next. Just then, the immortal mansion began to tremble violently. Boon. The immortal mansion's grand formation shook intensely. Furthermore, a terrifying force seemed to erupt from within it. The entire grand formation of the immortal mansion flickered non-stop as if it was about to disintegrate. What's happening? Everyone was taken aback, gazing at the changes happening to the immortal mansion. Could such a massive disturbance indicate some mishap inside the immortal mansion? Suddenly, everyone witnessed a transformation in the immortal mansion. A crack appeared in its grand formation. And from this crack, a brilliant blade of light emerged. This dazzling blade of light penetrated the immortal mansion's formation from the inside out. Simultaneously, a silhouette swiftly emerged from the fissure in the immortal mansion's formation. Chapter 271. Attack true person Lu Fen. Silence. The entire ocean floor suddenly became still. Whether it was when Sovereign, True Person Lu Feng, Red Crane True Person, Golden Light True Person, or any of the Foundation Establishment True Persons from Tai Dao Palace, Profound Light Cave Heaven, and Red Hades Mansion, all eyes were fixed on this figure. Lin Fei. Lin Fei of the ancient origin sect had actually escaped from the Immortal Mansion. Wasn't it said that without reaching the Golden Core stage, breaking the formation was impossible? Even causing a slight tremor was difficult. Yet Lin Fei had come out, and it seemed he had sliced open the grand formation of the Immortal Mansion with a single blade. Lin Fei's gaze swept over the surroundings. He noticed the life wheel behind Wind Sovereign. Once a martial sovereign displays the life wheel, it signifies a battle, potentially even a fight to the death. Opposing Wind Sovereign was Lu Feng. However, with his appearance, both sides ceased their hostilities. You can still come out. Lu Feng's face was ashen, his eyes filled with undisguised killing intent. If Lin Fei remained trapped in the Immortal Mansion, it would have been fine, equivalent to him being dead. But Lin Fei escaping from the Immortal Mansion was something Lu Feng couldn't ignore. Lin Fei, you've come out. Wind Sovereign, on the other hand, was overjoyed. Unexpectedly, Lin Fei had emerged and seemed unharmed. Lin Fei nodded and asked Wind Sovereign what happened outside earlier. Why did the formation's gateway disappear on the 29th day? Lin Fei desperately wanted to know what had transpired outside. He was so close to not making it out. When Sovereign glanced at Lu Feng and said with a cold smile, Lu Feng of Chanidao Palace knew you were on a killing spree within the Immortal Mansion, eliminating numerous Tai Dao Palace Foundation establishment cultivators. Thus, he prematurely withdrew from the Grand Formation. Relying on just the three of us, we couldn't maintain the Immortal Mansion's gateway. That's why you almost couldn't get out. When Sovereign explained everything in detail, Lin Fei's gaze fixed on Lu Feng. Through Wind Sovereign's words, he had a rough understanding of what had happened. He realized that Wind Sovereign had even threatened Lu Feng for his sake. The tension between the two sides was palpable. If he hadn't emerged, a great battle would surely have ensued. Lin Fei was naturally pleased with Wind Sovereign's actions. This was the ancient origin sect he remembered. Even if it was against the Tai Dao Palace, if anyone endangered an ancient origin sect disciple, they had to pay the price. At this moment, Lu Feng was also filled with murderous intent. He genuinely wanted to kill Lin Fei. Had it not been for the presence of the 5 Foundation Establishment True Persons from Tai Dao Palace, perhaps Lu Feng would have acted without hesitation. Even with Wind Sovereign present, he would not have hesitated and would surely attempt to kill Lin Fei. However, with the 5 Foundation Establishment True Persons from Tai Dao Palace present, he had to be cautious. No matter how much he loathed Lin Fei, he had to prioritize the bigger picture for now. At the very least, he had to ensure the safety of his companions and return to Tai Dao Palace. Lin Fei, I'm sparing you this time, Lu Feng declared coldly. But remember, you killed over a dozen of our top Foundation Establishment True Persons from Tai Dao Palace. Not just you, but even your ancient origin sect, should brace yourselves for the wrath of Tai Dao Palace. Having said his piece, Lu Feng was ready to leave with his group. But out of nowhere, a saber shot directly towards him. With a swift move, Lu Feng raised his hand, and his golden core energy immediately blocked Lin Fei's blade. No one expected Lin Fei to take the initiative, especially against a golden core true person. It was unimaginable. No matter how powerful a martial sage or Foundation Establishment cultivator was, they could never match a golden core true person. The difference between the two realms was simply vast and incalculable. Lu Feng, did I say you could leave? Lin Fei's tone was calm, but his killing intent was clear. Lu Feng had nearly trapped him inside the Immortal Mansion, essentially attempting to kill him. No one had ever tried to harm Lin Fei without facing consequences, not even a golden core true person. To think you dare to act against me. Very well. Lu Feng roared in fury. No one can save you today. Lin Fei, a mere martial sage. How dare he raise his hand against the esteemed Golden Core true person? For this audacity alone, Lu Feng vowed to end Lin Fei's life this very day. Even if the Wind Sovereign intervened, it would make no difference. No one could stop him. At any cost, he would strike down Lin Fei. Lin Fei, you. The countenance of Wind Sovereign shifted slightly. Even he thought Lin Fei had acted recklessly. Having emerged thus far, one ought to curb their impulsiveness. Wait until he ascends to the martial sovereign, plenty of opportunities would then present themselves to confront Lu Feng. It was unwise to entirely enrage him now. To provoke such a Golden Core true person, especially one from the Tai Dao Palace, it wasn't a wise course of action. Boon. Yet, Lin Fei remained impassive, appearing unafraid of any challenge. With a single step, it seemed as if the very void trembled. Simultaneously, an energy flower suddenly blossomed above his head. His blood energy domain erupted. Then, as he took a second step, another flower, a chi flower, appeared. In the void, a blade materialized, its presence even more terrifying. The ferocious essence of the saber poured wildly into the blade. But the spectacle did not end there. As Lin Fei's third step landed, another flower, spirit flower, emerged above him. Instantly, the three flowers converged above Lin Fei's head, casting a radiant light upon each other. It seemed as if they would merge into one. Witnessing this, everyone was profoundly stunned. Three flowers. The gathering of the three blooms. Has Lin Fei actually achieved the three blooms gathering? He's merely half a step from martial sovereign. Lin Fei has almost set foot in the realm of martial sovereign. What kind of fortune did Lin Fei obtain within the immortal mansion? Wind Sovereign, Lu Feng, Red Crane true person, Golden Light true person. Three golden cores and a martial sovereign, all were deeply shaken at this moment. Even if many weren't martial artists, they recognized the significance of the three flowers gathering. If all went as anticipated, the ancient origin sect might witness the rise of another martial sovereign. However, upon witnessing this, the murderous intent in Lu Feng grew even more intense. His resolve to eliminate Lin Fei only strengthened. If he didn't act against Lin Fei now, once Lin Fei became a martial sovereign, he wouldn't be able to. Thus, now was the only opportunity. Great Mountain Seal. Without a moment's hesitation, Lu Feng unleashed the Great Mountain Seal. Boon. The Great Mountain Seal was activated. Below the sea, where everything was submerged in water, yet the Great Mountain Seal still soared to immense heights, resembling a colossal mountain within the ocean's depths. Propelled by the might of the Golden Core true person's magic, its power was earth-shattering. Saber momentum. Lin Fei's saber momentum descended. The spirit flower quivered slightly, and Lin Fei's saber momentum, a radiant circle of multicolored light, spread instantaneously in all directions. It enveloped the Great Mountain Seal and even Lu Feng. Within Lin Fei's saber momentum, there was a hint of scorching flames. Even under the sea, it was the same, as if raging flames were consuming everything from the inside out, reducing it to ash. Furthermore, there was a formidable oppressive force. The blood energy domain melded seamlessly with the saber momentum. Simultaneously, boosted by the saber momentum, the luminance of Lin Fei's blade stretched to immense heights. With the gathering of the three flowers, Lin Fei's spirit, energy, and chi were all propelled to their pinnacle at that moment. Slash! Suddenly, Lin Fei's blade descended in a swift cut. The blade's luminance spanned immense distances, boosted by the saber momentum. Its speed was astonishingly swift, like a fleeting shadow. As the blade came down, it felt as if the heavens were collapsing and the earth was splitting. With an overwhelming force, it cleaved the deep sea waters apart. The terrifying luminance of the blade fiercely struck the towering Great Mountain Seal. Chapter 272. The power of martial sovereign. Boon. The clash echoed mightily. Lin Fei's strike against the golden core-level magic treasure, the Great Mountain Seal, was nothing short of direct confrontation with the might of a golden core true person Lin Fei. Lin Fei was only at the Three Flowers Gathering stage and not a martial sovereign. How long had it been since a martial artist at the Three Flowers Gathering stage dared to confront a golden core true person? Many couldn't even recall. Perhaps such records were only found in ancient texts. The towering Great Mountain Seal, initially as steady as Mao Tai, was menacingly crushing down on Lin Fei. However, Lin Fei's blade, powered by the Three Flowers Gathering, had struck it directly. Instantly, the Great Mountain Seal quivered, and the entire sea seemed to boil in response. The terrifying blade's aura could penetrate tens of thousands of meters. For the first time, Lu Feng felt a jolt through his entire being. His Great Mountain Seal was actually repelled by Lin Fei's single strike. Impossible. A mere martial sate, no matter how powerful, is still just a martial sate. How could he repel the Great Mountain Seal of this true person? Lu Feng was deeply shocked, finding it hard to believe. Even with the reality before him, he was in disbelief. Lin Fei, a mere martial sate, had actually managed to repel his Great Mountain Seal head-on. Although he hadn't broken through the Great Mountain Seal, the mere act of repelling it was astonishing, leaving Lu Feng unable to accept it. This signified that Lin Fei, in his martial sate form, possessed a strength comparable to that of the Golden Core. You think a Golden Core true person only possesses magic treasures? Water Shadow Thunder. Explode. Lu Feng was genuinely infuriated. His hands subtly formed several magic symbols. Instantly, the entire seabed began to boil. Around Lin Fei, there seemed to be massive bubbles forming, all made up of seawater. Boom, boom, boom. These water bubbles explosively detonated. Magic. This was an underwater magic technique. Golden Core cultivators differed from Foundation establishment cultivators. A Golden Core true person could instantaneously deploy a myriad of magical techniques, having virtually no weaknesses. Whether underwater, on land, or in the sky, they possessed a diverse array of magical skills, making them incredibly versatile. Once these water shadow thunders exploded, their power was immensely terrifying. Each of them could easily kill a martial saint or a Foundation establishment true person. However, Lin Fei had his saber momentum and blood energy domain. As his energy flower and spirit flower shifted slightly, the saber momentum and blood energy domain rapidly contracted, encapsulating him within. Each explosion from the water shadow thunder impacted Lin Fei's domains, but that was the extent of it. These mere impacts weren't lethal to him. Yet, the might of the water shadow thunders drastically upheaved the entire seabed. Whiz. Whiz. Lin Fei wasn't just passive. His saber essence erupted instantaneously. Wave after wave of saber essence shot out, turning into sharp blades in a blink. Accelerated by the saber momentum, they flew towards Lu Feng in no time. But Lu Feng had the Great Mountain Seal, a treasure both offensive and defensive. He positioned the seal in front of him, and Lin Fei's blade struck it one after the other. The Great Mountain Seal trembled violently with each impact. Even Lu Feng began to doubt if the seal could withstand this onslaught. The two adversaries exchanged blows fiercely, not holding back at all. Lu Feng had already deployed almost all his capabilities, magical techniques, magic treasures, and more. Except for the Grand Array, he was going all out. Yet, he couldn't get the upper hand over Lin Fei. Moreover, every slash from Lin Fei posed a significant threat to him. Witnessing this, many onlookers were left in silence, with turmoil raging deep within their hearts. Lin Fei, with the stature of a martial sate, was actually holding his ground against a Golden Core true person. And not with magic treasures, but with his own saber techniques, saber momentum, and blood energy domain. This completely overturned everyone's understanding of a martial sate. Generally, even the most potent martial saint would never match up to a golden core true person. But now, Lin Fei, who was merely at the Three Flowers gathering stage and not a true martial sovereign, seemed untouchable by Lu Feng. Given the saber techniques Lin Fei was displaying, every strike required a golden core true person to defend with all their might, otherwise they would be slashed. This proved that Lin Fei's strength was now comparable to a true golden core cultivator or even a martial sovereign. Lin Fei was merely at the stage of Three Flowers gathering, just a martial saint. Once he breaks the shackles of the life wheel and manifests it, how powerful will Lin Fei become? It's beyond imagination. With these thoughts, the Wind Sovereign stepped forward, his life wheel emerging behind him. On the wheel, there was a halo of light defending it. That was a divine ability. Every sovereign possesses a martial divine technique unique to them. Boom! The Wind Sovereign made his move. With a single wave, the surrounding seawater seemed to explode. A terrifying force, akin to an avalanche, surged towards the great mountain seal. Bang! The great mountain seal shuddered momentarily, and immediately after, Lin Fei's saber essence arrived, striking it again. Crack! At last, the great mountain seal couldn't withstand any longer. When Lin Fei and the Wind Sovereign joined forces, even the great mountain seal of Lu Feng couldn't stand the assault. Instantly, Lu Feng felt the looming threat of death. Ancient Origin Sect, well played. Wait for the wrath of the Tai Dao Palace. Water escape. In the next moment, Lu Feng summoned a stream of water, swiftly retracting the great mountain seal. Then, with the waters rippling around him, he disappeared without a trace, leaving even Lin Fei's saber momentum unable to restrain him. Lin Fei looked coldly in the direction where Lu Feng had fled. This time, they hadn't managed to kill Lu Feng. Noticing Lin Fei's disappointment, the Wind Sovereign shook his head slightly, saying with a smile, "Lin Fei, do you know how difficult it is to kill a golden core true person? Even if I teamed up with Red Crane true person and Golden Light true person, we wouldn't be sure of killing a golden core true person. Your current strength, allowing you to confront a golden core true person head-on, is already at the level of a martial sovereign. In the history of our ancient origin sect, no one has achieved this. In the vast ancient continent, among all martial saints, you're probably at the pinnacle. If you wish to kill Lu Feng, it's not too hard. Once you become a martial sovereign, the next time you encounter Lu Feng's true person, you'll undoubtedly be able to slay him." Red Crane true person and Golden Light true person both were expressions of complexity. Lin Fei's strength had surpassed their expectations. This wasn't a minor matter. This revelation had the potential to change the balance of power among the three major forces in their world. After all, in this universe, the strong are revered above all. Lin Fei was currently just a martial saint, but he had already displayed such formidable strength. How powerful would he become once he ascends to the status of martial sovereign? With a series of swift motions, Lin Fei released 5 streaks of saber essence. They targeted 5 Foundation establishment true persons from the Tai Dao Palace. These individuals were among the top tier of Foundation establishment true persons. While Lu Feng managed to escape, these 5 couldn't. Even though the treasures they acquired in the Immortal Mansion had been taken by Lu Feng, they themselves possessed 5 magic treasures of the Golden Courtier, the Great Mountain Seals, bestowed upon them by the elders of Tai Dao Palace. These seals were invaluable treasures. This time, however, the Great Mountain Seals couldn't escape, as they were suppressed by Lin Fei's saber essence and seized. Next time, Lu Feng will surely die. Lin Fei's eyes were filled with cold determination. Soon after, Lin Fei and the Wind Sovereign swiftly left the seabed, heading towards the ancient origin sect. Golden Light true person, Red Crane true person, and the Foundation establishment true persons of their respective sects witnessed the entire sequence. A figure like Lin Fei has emerged from the ancient origin sect. He acts so decisively. Tai Dao Palace surely won't let this slide easily. Perhaps a great battle is on the horizon. The eyes of the two golden core true persons held a hint of complexity. Whether they were concerned for Lin Fei or apprehensive about Tai Dao Palace was unclear. Soon, the two golden core true persons, along with the disciples of their sects, departed. The entire seabed regained its tranquility. Even the immortal mansion, under the operation of its grand formation, vanished without a trace. Chapter 273. Life Wheel. Within the hallowed halls of the Tai Dao Palace, Lu Feng returned in utter disarray. He personally sought an audience with the Palace Master. Palace Master, he began, his voice weighed with regret, I have failed in our mission to the immortal mansion. Not only have I faced defeat, but the accompanying 24 elite disciples have all perished. Worse yet, even the 5 golden core-level Great Mountain Seals have fallen into the hands of the ancient Origin sect. Meeting the gaze of the Palace Master, Lu Feng held nothing back, laying bare every event that transpired within the oceanic depths of the immortal mansion. With a swift movement, the Palace Master's eyes opened, the cold glint of murderous intent dancing within them. Elder Lo, for the grave losses suffered under your leadership, you shall be punished. Lu Feng trembled, but he recognized the weight of his failure. Those 24 Foundation establishment cultivators were among the most promising disciples of Tai Dao Palace. Their untimely deaths held the potential loss of future golden core true persons. The blow to the palace was indeed monumental. Such a loss necessitated accountability. Thus, even as a revered golden core cultivator, Lu Feng was not exempt from the penalty. Gritting his teeth, Lu Feng declared, Palace Master, I will accept any punishment the sect deems fit. Yet, he continued with a fire in his eyes, the ancient Origin sect disregards our Tai Dao Palace so blatantly. We must not show leniency. Moreover, that martial sage from the ancient Origin sect, Lin Fei, although merely at the state level, already rivals golden core cultivators in power. Should he ascend to become a martial sovereign, who can fathom the extent of his might? Lin Fei is undoubtedly a looming threat to our Tai Dao Palace. He must be eliminated. The Palace Master regarded Lu Feng inscrutably. Elder Lu Feng, be on your way. Without further words, Lu Feng departed to accept his punishment. Lost in thought, the Palace Master stared into the void. He saw through Lu Feng's ulterior motives. Yet, the unyielding stance of the ancient Origin sect, coupled with the pressure from other powerful factions, rendered Tai Dao Palace somewhat powerless. The emergence of Lin Fei was indeed a cause for concern. Over the years, he mused, our Tai Dao Palace has enjoyed peace for too long. Many have forgotten the true might that we wield. Perhaps it's time to remind the world. A fierce glint flashed in his eyes as he pondered the path forward. In places like the Red Hades Mansion and the Profound Light Cave Heaven, many Foundation establishment cultivators too made their return to their respective sects. As the Foundation establishment cultivators returned to their sects, word about the events in the immortal mansion beneath the sea spread like wildfire. Among the many tales, one stood out as the most sensational. Elder Lin Fei of the ancient Origin sect, despite being at the martial state stage, had not only faced off against Tai Dao Palace's Elder Lu Feng but also vanquished over 24 top Foundation establishment cultivators. The news was met with disbelief from both the Tai Dao Palace and the ancient Origin sect. Many in the Tai Dao Palace could not fathom its truth. However, the undeniable fact was that over 20 of their elite Foundation establishment cultivators had vanished. And, astoundingly, rumors emerged that Elder Lu Feng faced punishment, imprisoned within the fiery dungeon to endure a decade of torment. This was a severe penalty, especially given that Lu Feng was a golden core cultivator. Gradually, many within the Tai Dao Palace began to believe the astonishing reports. When the news reached the ancient Origin sect, it left everyone stunned. The information had come from outside, while within the sect, there hadn't been a whisper about it. Had it been any other individual, some might have expressed skepticism. But the rumor was about Lin Fei, who as a martial sate with the Three Flowers Gathering stage, could challenge a golden core cultivator. This made it difficult for the ancient origin sect members to dismiss. Lin Fei's reputation within the ancient origin sect was already legendary. His previous battles, especially the one where he bested 5 elders, had sent shockwaves through the sect. Now, to hear that he could match a golden core cultivator seemed fantastical, yet not entirely implausible. Many within the ancient origin sect turned their eyes towards Lin Fei's cave dwelling. However, no one dared to disturb him, for Lin Fei had entered seclusion. System, Lin Fei whispered, summoning his system interface to check his martial progress. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Realm, Three Flowers Gathering. Saber Momentum, Perfection, Progress, 0%. Lin Fei's system interface appeared quite simple. The martial techniques he had perfected had vanished from the display. Of course, while they were gone from the panel, his skills remained intact. The only thing that hadn't disappeared was the Saber Momentum. Even though it had reached perfection, there was still a progress indicator, albeit at 0%. In a way, this hinted that beyond the perfection of Saber Momentum, there lay another realm. Through his conversations with Wind Sovereign, Lin Fei had come to understand the realm that lay beyond Saber Momentum, called the Domain, or more precisely, Saber Domain. According to Wind Sovereign, once the Saber Momentum evolves into a Saber Domain, it would transform from an abstract force to a tangible power, possessing incredible abilities. However, the specifics of the Saber Domain's capabilities remained shrouded in mystery even to Wind Sovereign. Throughout the history of the ancient origin sect, no martial artist had ever evolved their skill to such a level. Thus, the concept of the Saber Domain was more of a legendary realm within the sect's lore. For Lin Fei, the domain seemed distant, without any clear path toward it. In contrast, the next stage, the martial sovereign, felt tantalizingly close. Lin Fei was now at the Three Flowers Gathering stage. According to Wind Sovereign, the only barrier left was to break the shackles of the life wheel, manifesting it and thus gaining mastery over his destiny. But this task was easier said than done. It was extremely challenging. Lin Fei had sought guidance from Wind Sovereign on breaking these shackles. However, Wind Sovereign had merely shaken his head, stating that the method to do so varied for each martial sovereign. The key was to sense the shackles of the life wheel and then muster all one's strength to shatter them. For a martial artist, this process was akin to defying fate itself. It bore similarity to a foundation establishment cultivator facing the heavenly tribulation. If they succeeded in crossing it, they would evolve into a golden core cultivator. But failing meant obliteration. Similarly, breaking the life wheel's shackles was a gamble. There was only one attempt allowed. Failure meant the three flowers of a martial sate would shatter, leading to physical disintegration, reversal of the true essence, and eventual death. Hence, it was a path where success led to ascension and failure meant certain death. When Sovereign hadn't provided an extensive guide. And even if he had, it wouldn't have been of much use. The only thing he emphasized was that Lin Fei shouldn't hold back or prepare excessively, as it would be futile. Reaching the Three Flowers Gathering stage meant that Lin Fei had peaked in his cultivation. No amount of extra preparation would make a difference. Whether he could break through the shackles of the life wheel was essentially predetermined at the moment of reaching the Three Flowers Gathering. Now, all Lin Fei needed was to adjust his mindset and sense the life wheel. After spending days in seclusion, he decided to face his destiny. "Let's begin," Lin Fei murmured, closing his eyes. The three flowers atop his head vibrated subtly, and with the addition of the saber momentum, Lin Fei began to attune to every part of his being. Gradually, he seemed to disconnect from the external world, drawn deep into himself. There was a place within him, calling out, and he was drawn to it. And then he saw it. Deep within his being, there was a massive will emanating faint rays of light, the life wheel. The glow was subtle, flickering inconsistently. On its surface, dark streams flowed, looking much like chains that held the wheel in place, the shackles of the life wheel. Seeing his life wheel and its bindings brought a wave of realization over Lin Fei. To break these shackles, he had to combine the energies of his three flowers, merging spirit, energy, and qi into one. It was an all-or-nothing move, a desperate gamble against fate itself. Chapter 274. Life Will Manifests. Lin Fei's eyes snapped open. Without a moment's hesitation, the three flowers above his head swayed ever so slightly. Merge. In the very next moment, the trio of blossoms atop Lin Fei's head began to merge seamlessly. These flowers, in essence, symbolized the qi, energy, and spirit of a martial artist, the foundation of their prowess. Boom. The merging process was smoother than Lin Fei had ever imagined. Once the three flowers converged, a power, unparalleled and novel, coursed through Lin Fei. He felt as if he could reach out and touch the life wheel. Even the shackles binding that will seemed palpable. A low hum resonated. In the next instant, a vast luminous circle materialized behind Lin Fei. It was reminiscent of the luminous halo he'd seen behind the Wind Sovereign. That was the life wheel, the very heart of a martial artist. However, unlike the wheel behind the Wind Sovereign, Lin Fei's wheel was ensnared by streams of dark energy, binding it tightly. These were the shackles of the life wheel. Through the merger of the three flowers, Lin Fei had forcefully drawn out the wheel from within him, letting it hover where the blossoms once did. This was Lin Fei's golden opportunity. His sole chance is to shatter the shackles and fully reveal the life wheel. Break. With a fierce roar, Lin Fei's qi, energy, and spirit converged into the form of a blade. Not that he intended to manifest a blade. However, following the merger of the three flowers, a blade was naturally formed. This blade was the crystallization of Lin Fei's martial prowess, integrated and singular. This very blade bespoke of Lin Fei's path, the Tao of the saber. Once, Lin Fei harbored the intent of the fist. But as his journey evolved, he realized the saber's way was the path meant for him. Thus, the blade birthed from the merger of the three flowers became Lin Fei's most formidable saber. Slash. With unmatched ferocity, the blade slashed toward the shackles on the life wheel. In this singular strike lay the culmination of countless saber techniques that Lin Fei had learned. His vitality, saber essence, saber momentum, willpower, enlightenment, and much more were all embedded within. With this strike, Lin Fei's journey through the Nine Profound Sect, his initial ventures into saber techniques, body cultivation, the birth of his inner power, his first brush with true essence, his awakening to saber intent, the evolution of his saber momentum, and myriad other milestones flashed before him. All these formative moments led him to this pivotal day. The life wheel is the self. At that moment, a profound epiphany washed over Lin Fei. He understood. The reason behind severing the shackles of the life wheel was that the wheel itself embodied one's true self. And those very shackles, they were the many veils obscuring one's true self, both from external and internal sources. All that clouded the self must be decisively cut away. Boom. As Lin Fei's blade struck the shackles of the wheel, what seemed like a simple, ordinary slash resonated with profound power. Against the life wheel's vast array of dense shackles, it appeared inconsequential. Yet, this unassuming strike upon the wheel's shackles caused the entire wheel to quiver ever so slightly. Crack. It felt as if something had shattered. As if something had been severed. Atop Lin Fei's head, the life wheel, which was once shrouded in a dark miasma, now saw that very miasma recede. Upon closer inspection, the darkness had been broken, severed cleanly by Lin Fei's singular strike. Boom. In the next instant, the life wheel behind Lin Fei expanded dramatically. Its terrifying visage even pierced through his dwelling, manifesting in the vast expanse of the void. The skies of the ancient origin sect seemed to suddenly accommodate an enormous, luminous wheel. The moment it appeared, it felt as if the entirety of the ancient origin sect was suppressed. Even the limit martial saints, those who had formed the energy flower and chi flower, felt an existential dread. It was as though deep within their souls, something was suppressing them with overwhelming force. This sensation was one of sheer terror. It made their very souls tremble. Is that of the life wheel? It truly is. The wheel of a martial sovereign. Whose terrifying life wheel could that be? That direction. It's Elder Lin's dwelling. Yes, the wheel hovers right above Elder Lin's abode. Could it be that Elder Lin successfully shattered the shackles of the wheel, manifesting it and thus achieving the stature of a martial sovereign? Has the ancient origin sect birthed a new martial sovereign? Everyone could clearly see the life wheel hovering in the void. Whoosh, whoosh. Two figures appeared in the void. The sect master of the ancient origin sect and the head of the law enforcement hall, Wind Sovereign. Both of them were martial sovereigns. Gazing upon the life wheel above Lin Fei's dwelling, the sect master and Wind Sovereign exchanged glances, their eyes filled with astonishment and joy. Just 1 year. In merely 1 year, Lin Fei truly broke the shackles of the life wheel and advanced to martial sovereign. It's incredible. Wind Sovereign, you're right. With Lin Fei, our ancient origin sect might truly rise to prominence. Ha ha ha, Lin Fei, you didn't disappoint me. Breaking the wheel's shackles and advancing to the sovereign realm so quickly. It had been centuries since the last martial sovereign was born in the ancient origin sect. The youngest sovereign was Wind Sovereign, but even he was several centuries old. If the ancient origin sect didn't produce another martial sovereign soon, the sect master would have grown anxious. Yet, who could have expected that the one to advance to martial sovereign wouldn't be a core disciple or even a martial sovereign seed, but an elder of the law enforcement hall? And not just any elder, but one who had risen from the outer sect, step by step, to become an elder of the enforcement hall. At this moment, Lin Fei sensed that the life will within him had materialized. As the life will manifested, a mysterious power flowed from it into his body, causing earth-shattering changes. His skin began to molt rapidly, his vital essence roared within him, and every bone, every piece of flesh underwent monumental transformations. But even more notable was the force of life, or, to put it differently, lifespan. Intuitively, Lin Fei could sense his lifespan skyrocketing. It surged from 500 years to a staggering 1,000 years. Martial saints had a lifespan of 500 years. Martial sovereigns possessed a lifespan of a millennium. This meant that the emergence of a martial sovereign could potentially ensure the prominence and prosperity of a martial arts sect for 1,000 years. This was the true significance of a martial sovereign. While Lin Fei's physical body was undergoing transformations, so was his saber essence. However, the transformation of the saber essence seemed to gradually integrate into the life wheel and then vanish. Indeed, his saber essence had disappeared. Moreover, Lin Fei could sense a subtle movement in the life wheel inside him. Boom. The life wheel seemed to transform into a black hole, drawing in the spiritual chi of the surroundings. The spiritual chi from tens of miles around was being forcefully absorbed by the life wheel. Massive amounts of this energy entered the life wheel and then disappeared as if the life wheel was nurturing something. Lin Fei wasn't hasty. He waited patiently, sensing that the longer the life wheel nurtured this new essence, the more powerful and astounding it would become. This could potentially benefit him greatly. So he waited. Time passed by slowly. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Lin Fei had no idea how long he'd waited. The sky was almost dark. The amount of spiritual chi he'd absorbed was vast. He could even sense that the sect master of ancient origin and Wind Sovereign were aiding him from the void, capturing even more spiritual chi for him. The vast amounts of spiritual energy and the saber essence continuously entered the wheel, nurturing something within. Boom. Finally, the wheel quivered slightly. A brand new power had been nurtured and born. It flowed from the life wheel into Lin Fei's body, infusing him with newfound strength and potential. 274.